Andy Johnson. In this video lesson, we're looking at how can we get more teachers of color into our classroom. We're going to look at 13 filters that keep students from entering our teacher preparation programs and from completing them, and then some actionable items for teacher preparation programs as well. But let's look at some colorful graphs. These are teachers, white teachers, more white teachers than white students, black teachers, black students, Hispanic teachers, Hispanic teachers. You get the idea. When we look at all of our teaching force, 82% in the United States white, Hispanic, and black, and we see these other groups as well. So this year, a group of teachers, teacher educators, administrators from around the state of Minnesota and other parts of the country met for conversation. The purpose was to address the lack of teachers of colors in our classrooms, and we look at these three questions. What are the filters that keep students of color from entering teacher preparation programs? What are the filters that keep them from completing the teacher preparation programs, and what can we do? So let's look at 13 filters. Filter number one. Most people who go into education have had positive experiences within the educational system. However, this is often not the case for many students of color. Preparing pre-service and in-service teachers to teach in culturally responsive ways, as well as recognizing systemic racism within the educational system, can be one part of reducing the impact of this first filter. If you've had good educational experiences, you're more apt to become a teacher. If your experiences have been bad, you're less apt to become a teacher. College entrance exams. Now, the original purpose of these GREs and SATs and ACTs and other college entrance exam was to act as a filter to determine which students would be best able to succeed in a college setting and who would not. These instruments were never very valid predictors of student success. As such, they have far outlived their usefulness. As well, the cultural bias of these exams have been well documented. There are other more predictive and culturally responsive ways for students to demonstrate their ability to succeed in higher education. We should use these. The double application process. Here, students have to apply and be accepted into a college or university, and then they have to apply and be accepted into a college of education or teacher preparation program. In this second application process, high GPA requirements are used as the primary determinant of entrance. If they not make the cut for this second application, students have already spent 2 years and tuition dollars at an institution. Inflexible course offerings. In most teacher education programs, students are required to move in lockstep through a predetermined sequence of courses. Now, this may be most efficient for the management of the system, but it doesn't reflect how human beings best learn. As well, cohort-only models requiring 12 to 16 credits taken each semester don't provide the flexibility that students with very busy lives need to be able to learn at their best. Limited teacher preparation models. Now, there's always going to be a need for traditional campus-based teacher preparation programs. However, there's also a need for practical alternatives. Now, these could be post-bac programs, online or hybrid post-bac programs, summer Saturday programs, school immersion programs, teacher apprenticeship models, and others. But there's many creative ways we can go about preparing teachers. inflexible teaching and field experiences. Now, the reality of today's world is that many students are working 20 to 40 hours a week. It's a financial burden to have to take off work for a 2-week practicum field experience or a 15-week student teaching experience. As well, the geographic location of placements can add stress for students who don't have vehicles. There are a variety of creative and flexible options that we can consider here. Just because you don't know of something does not mean it doesn't exist. Culturally unresponsive teacher education programs. Teacher education curriculum, approaches, methods, assessment, and evaluation tend to reflect our traditional white Eurocentric norms, values, and perspectives. So recognizing this is the first step in changing it. Pre-service teachers are expected to use uniform ways of planning and teaching. Their performances are quantified and compared using rubrics that are based on a singular view of teaching and learning that too often reflects a restrictive, top-down teacher-directed approach. See Charlotte Danielson if you don't believe me. Parochialism and cultural superiority. These are evidenced in the use of the Danielson model, high leverage practices, predefined dispositions, and other models and practices that reflect a singular and very narrow view of teaching and learning. Invalid assessments, such as the EdTPA, and state exams, such as the Minnesota Teacher Licensure Exam. These are invalid indicators of one's ability to teach. They're time-consuming and they're expensive, and they get in the way of learning to teach. They're culturally biased, and they prevent other more accurate methods of evaluating pre-service teachers. Now, they may be mandated by state regulations, but for our colleges and universities to stay silent is to be complicit. Parochial research paradigms. Controlled experimental research has become the exclusive and epistemologically privileged way of determining causality and making claims as to what constitutes knowledge. Measuring is equated with knowing, by which the illusion of certainty is constructed. When people are reduced to numbers, we lose the voice and experiences of people. Excluding qualitative research methods to determine, quote, evidence-based, unquote, practices creates a distorted and limited view of teaching and learning. Filter number 11, the cost of higher education and low teaching wages. Pre-service teachers are asked to assume years of student loan debt for a job that has low pay and high stress. Also, students from low SES backgrounds often avoid teacher education programs because of their family needs and a desire to remove their families from unfavorable economic conditions. Thus, they choose majors they believe to be more lucrative. The lack of empowerment. Creative, intelligent teachers are not allowed to be creative and intelligent. They're not allowed to adopt or design curriculum to meet the needs of their students. Too often, they're expected to implement district-mandated, one-size-fits-all programs. But one size does not fit all teachers or students. Teachers must be empowered to make the curriculum changes that are best for their students. This means that curriculum design courses must be part of teacher preparation and teacher professional development programs. And the 13th filter, the lack of diversity. If we're to recruit and retain more students of color to increase racial and ethnic diversity of the teaching profession, there needs to be more professors, TOSAs, and mentor teachers who reflect these students. So some actionable items. Partner with schools serving diverse populations to develop flexible online post-baccalaureate teacher preparation programs. Create a collaborative partnership with other universities to offer a shared online post-bac program, post-bac teacher preparation program. That way, one university wouldn't have to handle all the courses. Design flexible, creative alternatives to field experiences and student teaching. Yes, we can. There's a variety of flexible ways. Just because you don't know of something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Make teacher preparation, curriculum, and programs more inclusive and culturally sustaining. Use culturally responsive teaching and teacher education programs. Incorporate valid and culturally relevant methods for pre-service and in-service teacher evaluation. Get away from the ed stinking TPA. Provide resources for rigorous professional development for teachers and professors. That includes critical race theory and culturally responsive teaching. Create alternatives to the double application process for college and teacher education programs. Eliminate GPA as the primary determinant of entry into teacher education programs. Create culturally responsive alternatives to college entrance exam requirements. Yes, we can. Include instruction related to curriculum design in all teacher preparation programs. Actively recruit and hire professors, TOSA, mentor teachers who reflect the students who are trying to get into our programs. And advocate strongly for higher teacher wages, better working conditions, and rigorous and continued professional development for teachers. Will action on any of these actionable items actually take place? Well, in higher education, there's often more talking than doing. We need less talk and more do. These 13 actionable items could be put in place tomorrow if we have the will. When people say they can't, oh, we can't do that, they really mean won't. We won't do that, and we cannot afford to wait.